approve the minutes from last meeting? Aye. Aye. Those opposed? Unopposed? Okay.
Which one did you want to bring up? Did you have a two? Yeah.
Yes. Very quickly.
Two of the things that sort of came out even from the last meeting, and I think that are the important things, would be communications. Some way to get communications across for everybody, and this will include as we expand. That's the most important thing I think that we should have to do, is try to grow this. Not necessarily as like, you know, a head group to all these other things, but just to expand it out so that we get everybody involved, as many as we can, so that it draws more people in, even at the lowest level. If we can get people to vote, that would be great, and they're sort of informed somewhat, the conservative side in my eyes, which I think is what everybody wants, that'd be good. So one of the things would be to create an outreach committee. Thoughts on that kind of a thing? And in that sense, I'm just saying, and you can read there, just to try to expand this out, however we can. And trying to just determine a method of contact. It's sort of like a central contact area, but I think it would be good, and it's been mentioned, and you're going to get the GO2 to talk, so that everybody has everybody else's contact in that sense, in case, so that no one group is the important or key eye in this. Well, I think that the group, the Lehigh Valley Tea Party, has a great setup with contacting, outreaching already. I think we could take advantage of that. I think it would be good in that sense to share maybe the list with everybody so that we all have a contact, but most everything would be done that way. But if somebody wanted to contact the neighboring area, they'd be able to do it anyway. They'd have that contact. So those were some of the thoughts I had in that. Otto?
Yeah, I believe we've had discussions before now, yeah, and you're right, this needs to be really ironed out.
Yeah.
I know the Tea Party has that issues, I don't know how you, what you call it, Tom, but
the Freedom Network,
Network.
Freedom Network, which is really just an alert system. It's a thing that has a communication system for sending alerts to the leadership of to other organizations who are on the network. That's one issue, but those are basically action alerts, like we're going to rally or we're going to protest or we need you to go to Harrisburg or we need you to contact a particular legislator. So those are primarily action issues. I think there's a separate issue of us communicating through email and the email list, because there have been some issues with the email list and keeping it current. And when we get to that part, I can express some views on that.
Okay, and this came up with me because now, you know, this time I'm hosting, our group is hosting, I'm not hosting. There's been multiple email lists, it seems, and you know, I send it out to whatever I sent to, and then, and I always say, please include everybody else that you know, and then there's big bundles of other people that were out. So that has to not happen somehow.
We've already voted on how to make that happen.
Okay.
And I can shed some light on, is this the time?
This is the time.
Okay. So, just as a refresher, we did get the domain name, WeThePeopleCoalition.com. And the reason why the word coalition is in there is because WeThePeople.com is obviously already taken. What we can do, and actually decided to do, was to have an email address that says, you know, that is members at WeThePeopleCoalition.com. Then all of us, this big long list of emails, goes on the list. Now, none of us have to worry about individual names. It's a server-side list. So what happens is any of us who are on the list could send an email to members@wethepeoplecoalition.com. It hits the server. The server then takes that email and automatically distributes it to everyone else. So the list is centralized and it is maintained, and none of us have to worry about it. And if somebody wants to come on the list, they can easily come on. If somebody wants to come off the list, they can easily come off. And none of us has to worry ever about individuals who are on or off the list.
If I'm correct, then everybody would be responsible for simply keeping their own email address current if they want to be on the list.
Correct.
Can you speak a little louder? The air conditioner, I can't hear you.
So everybody would be responsible if they want to be on that list for distribution of keeping their own email current. So if you change your email server, whoever it is, you just update it and it's automatic tag. That's
Right.
good.
Right. So now, we actually voted to do this when we were over at in Lennoxville over at Hummel's. It hasn't happened because I have to set up a list, and I don't have the complete list. In order, I've got email addresses, but we really need, I kind of need in spreadsheet form the individual, their organization, and their email address to make this happen. And all the other pieces are not complete and in place, and that's what's holding it up. So
Gio?
I think that's an excellent idea as far as emailing people specifically for We the People related things, but I think that we should also all have a copy of that Excel list, because once we're doing something like we just send the We the People or members at We the People, you won't know who was missed on the email. So if we all have a copy of the Excel with everybody's name, you can look it over and say, this person's missed, that person's missed.
can I respond to that when you're done?
And also, I think we should have phone number contacts, because you never know with the internet how things are going to go. Sometimes things go into spam folders. If the internet domains get turned over to the United Nations, you never know. Any day the internet can not be there, and we would never be able to get in touch with each other if we're only using email. So I think phone numbers, along with name and organization, would be a good thing to keep on that Excel list. That way we can always get in touch with each other if for some reason this main system is blocked or down.
Right. So now we're talking about not only just a plain email list, but what I would term a classic directory.
Yep.
And therefore the issue becomes, and that's obviously easy enough to do, who has access to the directory and how do we have access to it? My suggestion is that it be on a password-protected web page, and if anybody needs more detail, I can provide it, but to me, in my experience, that's the easiest way to do it, so all of us would be able to sign into a web page and see that list. Now, if you want to print it yourself, you can go and do that, but that list is always up to date and maintained when you sign in and view it. If that makes sense, we can do something like that.
It does make sense. There are action items or informational items that you want to share statewide, but then there are also things that are extremely regional or issue select, and you don't necessarily need to bother everybody with everything. If it's Second Amendment, okay, maybe if it's information, you might share it with tax people or abortion people or any of the other issue people, but if it's a specific action item, they'll know if they're interested because they'll be overlap. They'll be part of that Second Amendment group. There's no point in broadcasting everything when a specific and narrow communication might be useful. And I use phones a lot more often than email if it's something that is potentially controversial. Yeah.
Otto?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say I'm disappointed that Ray Luster didn't make it today because he recently at a meeting had mentioned to John and I that he had a list of people from the western part of the state who was interested in linking in with us. That's where this directory and stuff is important, and the We the People Coalition.com website and Freedom Network that you were talking about really comes in important because if there's a big issue statewide, we need to rally all of our groups together, and that's where real political power starts to come from.
Absolutely.
That's what we really need to link that up. So yes, in fact, here he is.
Right.
There's the man.
Yeah.
We were just mentioning you, sir.
Yeah, he mentioned at that meeting that he had a list of people from the western part of the state.
It over there.
Okay, he's doing it.
Literally, your name just came up. So, Otto was just.
I was just mentioning,
Ray,
Ray,
if
that
you
you
want.
had
Ray.
mentioned to John and I at a previous meeting a couple of weeks ago that you had some interest in contacts with people from the western part of the state.
Right.
You want to elaborate on that?
Well, I have 100 and some different parties in the state.
Wow. Parties,
Emails.
individuals?
In the emails, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That to me sounds like a great link up to help solidify we the people.
I guess what we're doing, Ray, is we're trying to get a formalized method on how we contact one another, whether it be for this meeting or other alerts through the Pennsylvania Freedom Network under We the People, since we have the domain name. So that would be unbelievable to have that. That is great.
You'd be
So
sharing that
we
with
just
Tom.
right.
Right.
I guess, do we want to, my only question is, how much information, it would almost seem like, how much information do we want to put on any particular list that's going out? I mean,
Even if it's password protected, I
Well,
would suggest no more than
well,
the basics that Tom was talking
right.
about.
Right. It's just a question.
Yeah.
That's all, just a question.
Okay. It sounds like we could set up a pretty good system that way. It can be shared. I'm not that up on the things, but
All I need is, we have to focus on getting good information on a spreadsheet. If we get to that, I'll take it from there and do what has to be done. But the core process of getting everyone's name, organization, email, phone on a spreadsheet
and this would be like
is-
a Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Is that the best?
yeah,
So-
yeah, that would be the best.
Would we-
Oh, you do?
Send you, but I don't know if I have everybody.
Right.
I can send you what I have for the,
We need somebody to volunteer to
get it started.
to do it or manage it or start it or whatever they're willing to do.
Probably
Let me ask you another question. Your sign-in sheet, how much more information can we put on that?
Well, I don't have phone numbers and stuff on there,
Or
so,
can we resend it around? I mean, I don't want
yeah.
I'll give you a few minutes to look at that.
to.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Okay, that would be part of the outreach committee. Possibly we could, do we think an outreach committee would be good to create? Somebody that would, do that kind of a thing, make sure it's up to date, collect all the information so somebody does know what's going on, or any ideas on that? Lynn?
I just have questions about trying to envision how this would work.
Would you like something,
So
sir?
somehow a note would go out to everybody that we're putting this list together and they send them information.
I have a
And then
lobster
someone
bisque,
would manually have
tomato,
to make up
vegetable,
the
with
Excel
wild rice.
sheet and then someone would have to maintain the Excel sheet? Or does it, once it goes in does the Excel sheet get imported into the directory, and then once it's in the directory, it can be maintained? I'm just trying to understand how it works.
Yeah, the spreadsheet is really just an easy document for most people can deal with the spreadsheet. Ultimately, once that information is there, it would get imported into a database, online, password protected, and we could then sign in, provide the password, and you would see all that information, but it's actually residing in a database. And the one that I have access to actually is, actually resides in Canada for very specific purposes. I intentionally set it up that way to encrypt the database in Canada, just to keep it one step farther from, accessed by the federal government. But so I'm not sure if that answers your question, but the spreadsheet's sort of the starting point.
Once it's uploaded, the spreadsheet just goes away and everything is constantly updated on that thing. People who have a password that can get into it can probably download an updated spreadsheet whenever they want.
That's what I want. Still updating a spreadsheet all the time.
It's primarily end user maintained, and that's what Dan was driving at as well. It wouldn't require one of us necessarily to be doing updates all of the time, although I'll add one qualifier. In the beginning, I would be the one to do that because I've just got so much going on. It's sort of an involved system. It's easy, standard stuff, but it takes time to build it. So it would probably happen in a couple of steps. But at the final step, you would be able to log in and update your own information. That's it.
Even at the primary step, is it possible to build a directory by having people sign themselves up? Or is it easier to do it from a spreadsheet?
No, it's easier to do it. To start from a spreadsheet and upload it, because there are a lot of little things you don't realize. To sign yourself up, there's a lot of work that has to happen behind the scenes because your email actually has to be verified and checked. Who are you? We kind of, at least in the beginning, want to know who you are, right? Because we don't want people who we don't know signing in and finding out everybody's emails and phone numbers, so there's a lot of issues like that.
All right. Gio? Yes, I have a couple of questions. Maybe this goes back a little bit further than just this outreach committee that we started talking about. Is the purpose of We the People not to just link organizations together instead of individuals?
I think it's
We
all,
dealt
I
with
think
that. We dealt with that with the mission statement at our last meeting.
Right. It cuts across everything. If there's a onesie that comes in that's so pro and want, that person's involved. We can't say, well, you're not part of an organization, you're not here. So to answer your question simply, the door is open. The door is basically open. And we've had those issues before. And I remember running the meeting that I got specific blowback that said, well, if they're not a part of a group, well, a group is two or more people, and that's why I did what I did with some people a part of this. But I do agree with Otto that, we kind of said, if you're a part of a group, that's fine. If you're two people, that's fine. If you're one person, that's fine. The only thing that I want to say about it, if it's a onesie, I would want to be, I would have some skepticism until somebody says this person has been somewhat vetted because of the potential problems. I'm not saying we're going to, but there's always the caution that I have about it. Now, the last thing I'll say is, I'll do up the Excel spreadsheet and all that stuff. If people would just mind putting their phone numbers, anything else in that sheet, I'll do that. Just, send it to me.
Auto?
Yeah, if it's we the people, we're inclusive, we're trying to rally people together for protecting the Constitution, our rights, and what's going on in the country. If we could find later on that we've got somebody who's infiltrated who does not have our best interest at heart, we can always exclude that individual from the group.
Absolutely, absolutely. But if somebody's bringing a person in, I would say it would behoove you as the person who may be sponsoring this person to make sure that you say, he's a Coke, he's not a root beer.
Is there a way that they can?
Okay, wait,
send a
we're
request?
gonna have to, you'll have to come to the chair just to get recognized, so it's not a lost discussion. Just please. I know Gio is still going on this.
Did I answer your question?
I understand what you're saying. I wished I could have been at the last meeting, but I wasn't invited, even though I'm representative from SEPTA, and so that's why I understand some of the blowback that you might have faced. So I just want to put my opinion out there about this all-inclusive versus organization. There are organizations, this is my opinion, there's organizations across this entire state that are doing the things that we're doing. I would find it difficult to believe that there are people anywhere in this state that cannot find an organization that's trying to do advance conservative principles and restore the Constitution, that they would have to be a lone wolf. When someone's a lone wolf, I get a little worried that there's a reason they're a lone wolf. That and this is a pretty loose kind of group, right? We all have our own individual things that we're working on. Some of us are working on a ton of things. And so to try to disseminate information and get 1,000 individuals on the same page across the state. Can I just finish my sentence? I didn't even get to a comma.
Only because I'm going to bring up the exact example. Dan.
Right.
Well, I have to say that in response, I got a group now, and but they're not necessarily interested in action items for the rest of the state. We've got a tough enough fight in our own township. I will pass information along to them. Some of them are becoming more active. We have a number of brand new groups that are coming along in a lot of areas that were not established back in 2009 or 2010. As far as individuals go, the main reason why it took this long is because I'm too busy to be worried about one specific thing when I could be more useful working with a broad range of groups. In response to some concerns about if someone does get in who causes problems, the only thing we're going to be sharing, if we're smart, is stuff that would be public anyway. When Dean Klopp says, we're getting together to go bother a legislator on this issue, come along and join the other 4 groups who've already signed up. This is a public pronouncement on Facebook. This is going out in emails. This is not a secret. We want them to know. If it's informational, it's not a secret. If you have something that's sensitive, you don't want to be sharing it through this method. You want to be making a direct phone call or making a personal meeting so that you can talk about that sensitive issue that isn't necessarily something that you want to share with the other side.
Yeah, I would, and I'm sorry for breaking in, Gio, but you weren't at the last meeting, we're going to have to screw up on, I'll say me, that I didn't notify you or something, but we did discuss that, and we just determined that it's open for everybody. And just like Dan's saying, I don't assume this organization is being secretive. I want this to be blown out so everybody can hear and know what's going on. No secrets that way. If there's secrets, well then it's probably like Dan said.
Just to complete a thought, may I?
Okay, Gio wants to keep going on this, so go ahead.
You know what, Mr. President, point of order. We dealt with this at the last meeting. We spent hours on this.
Okay.
Furthermore, it was an issue that almost tore the group apart.
Yep,
So we dealt with it in the
yep, I agree.
commission
Okay.
statement. It should be over and done with. It's voted upon.
Okay,
John, if I may,
Dan.
just the only danger that we have, if we keep this as open as we've decided we wanted to do, is minor sabotage and spam for a brief period of time until we figure out who's doing it and take them out. That's the worst they can do. That's all.
But I thought what we were gonna do with this was to inform other groups of actions that we are taking, and would you like to participate in taking?
You are definitely on track. That's.
I mean, that's what I thought this was all about.
It is, but
So therefore, it won't be a secret.
no.
okay, just, you want?
I guess the point of matter is that, yes, we dealt with the singularity of a person that wants to be a part of it. We dealt with it, we voted on it or whatever, and we got it. Yes, in eventuality, that person can be just as useful to be contacted to say, we're having a rally. So it's basically, to me, it's open. Yes, we are, but we're still building, we're still building our
We don't have much
infrastructure.
time.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not that we don't have much time, and I agree with you, but how are we gonna alert people? I mean, John and I talked about this, I'm not gonna get into it, but how are we gonna do what we're gonna do? You know, Dan has his own method. We have this Pennsylvania Freedom Network with We the People, whatever. There are different things, but we have to come to an agreement so that when you're talking to people, because we all should be bringing people on, and if we are, we're speaking about it, that we're knowledgeable, that this is how it's done. So we're not going X, somebody's going Y, and somebody's going Z, because then that will be disorganization, and people will see through that and say, I've had it, I'm not going to put up with this. So, yeah, we've got to settle some of these things, and we are, as well as moving on some of this stuff.
All right, this is, again, one of the main things, is outreach, kind of communications and the outreach, just to let everybody know about it.
Is that
So
okay?
that we can try to coordinate as much as we can. Like I say, if we can just get everybody to vote, that would be wonderful, you know? So
Yes.
we need to get people involved. They're getting disenfranchised for whatever reason. And I feel, as you do probably too, that people are getting more excited because they're losing money and things like that. Dean's group, Brendan, all these, I think is the action we need. That's my opinion. If they get things done, they go knocking on doors, that's how you do it. So if we can get individuals, I don't care if they're in a group or not, to go to their neighbor's door or not, and talk about the things we would like them to talk about, perfect. You know, so individuals, groups, I don't care. Personally, myself, I think our whole organization was like determined that last time. We're going to open it up for everyone. All right, that's the end of that. We've all agreed on that. There's some disagreement, and there's going to be. That's how it is. But what does everyone think about this outreach committee? You know, I think we need that communications. We need a central point where people can go. Maybe like Bill's saying, it'd be nice if, you know, somebody said something, they will go to this site. I heard about this We the People. Click on it, you know, and maybe there's a few of our videos that are up there. Especially if there's like a little tutorial thing. We have an organizational committee. Here's things we talked about. Here's how to sign up on it. The video showing how to get into the We the People Coalition site, you know, to get formed on it, things like that. My thoughts, that's why I think maybe a committee for that, to organize that part and nail it down so that even the next person that hosts this thing at least knows everybody's involved so far. Otto?
I totally agree. This We the People now has been, what, 6 months or more?
Yeah.
We need to get moving. I agree with Ray on this. He's got 100 and some contacts. We need to get a committee together, get those contacts, and start growing. So that when the issues do come up, we can rally people all over the darn state. Not we as individual groups, but all the groups can come together on that issue. 76, there's things happening right now, and that's a big issue, and we should be able to rally on.
probably one of the things Ray's talking about too. That's a critical thing, and they're blowing this stuff aside again, so we need to pressure our legislators, and that's like Dean and Britton, all those guys are doing, so. Lynn?
So I still have a question. So if there's an outreach committee, and then there's an issue that people want to promote, so you let the Freedom Information Network know, and then those leaders of those groups go ahead and send it out, and you send it to the Lead the People Coalition. So